Earlier this week, we talked about some underrated teams in the NFL heading into 2025. Let's talk about some overrated teams. This is for Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. We talk NFL and college football just about every single day. Let's start with the Washington Commanders. And remember, I think people take the word overrated and they think it means bad. Overrated does not mean bad. Overrated just means that maybe they're not going to be as good as the average person thinks, right? Like I think if you're overrated, that probably means you're at least pretty good. It's just, maybe they're not a Super Bowl contender, which a lot of people would say Washington could be. They had some outlier metrics last year that typically kind of go the other way over time. Now, maybe it won't, but they were 9-3 in one-score games. Okay, 12 out of their 19 games, because I'm including playoffs, were one score. They won 9 of those. Okay. 20 of 23 on fourth down. That's the real big outlier. 87% on that volume. I mean, that's unheard. And a lot of that is like Jayden Daniels, not just like 4th and 1 QB sneak. Like it's him making a play with his legs or his arm. And Daniels had 5 game-winning drives and several other big fourth quarter moments as well. That's just those things even out. Like you want to know a good example? In 2022, remember that Vikings team that went 13-4 and they kept skating by, and then in the playoffs it came crashing down. I think they were like 11-1 in one-score games, and then they lost to Daniel Jones and the Giants in the playoffs in a one-score game. And the next year they went 7-10. They lost a bunch of close games. Typically, those type of things over the course of like years, you look at like the data, it evens out. Now, I'm not saying it will this year, but they went 12-5 last year. I actually think they could be a better overall team, but only win like 9 or 10 games, if that makes sense, because they obviously added some pieces. You get Tunsil at left tackle, you add Debo to the mix, but I think it's a tough sell to just be like, yeah, they're going to win the NFC East or finish a close second behind Philadelphia. It's like, I don't want to call them a fake 12-5 last year, but it was kind of a lot of stars were aligning for that to fall into place. You have some things going on right now, too. The Terry McLaurin contract drama is ongoing. By the time you're filming this or watching this, maybe that's been resolved, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, their pass rush stinks, especially coming off the edge. Their best one last year, they let walk to Dallas, Dante Fowler, who had 11 sacks. They have nobody. Their edge group is pretty freaking bad. So that's going to be a concern for me in a Dan Quinn defense. So, look, I think Washington's going to be a solid team. I just don't think they have enough on their roster to be a true Super Bowl contender. Also, is year 2 of Cliff Kingsbury. I thought one thing he did well last year is it started to dip in the middle, and people were like, oh, late season Kingsbury. But then he got it back, and he added some things, more wrinkles. Is he going to continue to kind of evolve his offense, or does it get stale and do people catch up? Because historically, that's what's happened. Didn't happen last year, but we'll see moving forward. I think Washington, I would just sell them a little bit in terms of being a Super Bowl contender. Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just not buying it. Like, again, they might be what they've been, which is like win 9-10 games, make the playoffs. But I think there's this idea that it's, they can make a sneaky run. Aaron Rodgers is this massive upgrade. You know what they did this offseason? You know that phrase of like, sometimes you need to make a change just to make a change? Really in life when you do that, though, sometimes it helps, like change of scenery. But sometimes it's like, well, you just felt like you had to, but did it really actually help anything? Like, they had a lot of guys come in and a lot of guys go out. And does it add up to being better? So these are the key new additions, right? You bring in Aaron Rodgers, 41 years old. You bring in DK Metcalf. Let's give him $150 million. Jalen Ramsey, 30-year-old corner, best ball probably behind him. Let's add him too. Jonnu Smith, kind of an outlier year last year. I'm sure he'll continue that moving forward. I do like the Caleb Johnson draft pick. I think he could actually be an upgrade over Najee Harris. Russell Wilson out. And we'll look at some numbers in a minute. I do think Rodgers will be an upgrade, but a massive one, probably not. George Pickens out. As cool as it is bringing DK in, is swapping him for Pickens, like, is that some huge upgrade? I'd call it a slim upgrade. I would have liked it better if they were playing together, although they might have killed each other by the end of the season. Mika Fitzpatrick out. Jalen Ramsey in. It's like, okay. Dan Moore Jr., I wouldn't have paid him that either, so don't blame him for that. But is Broderick Jones ready to hold it down at left tackle? That's a huge question mark, especially for a 41-year-old quarterback. They lose Najee Harris as well. This is something that I found pretty interesting. I was like, you know what? and these are just raw stats, not the eye test, all that stuff. I just want to compare Aaron Rodgers' raw stats last year to the Steelers quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Completion percentage, advantage Wilson and Fields. Okay. Pass yards, slight advantage Rodgers. TD to interception ratio, pretty similar. Obviously more volume for Aaron, but a lot of that was garbage time. Like, okay, I'll give Aaron the slight edge. He's obviously not mobile. Fields was, Russ was a little, but not like he used to, but more than Rodgers. He's not going to give you much as a runner. And if you want to add passer rating to it, Fields and Wilson combined 94, Rodgers 90. I think, like, I'm not going to just raw stat this and be like, yeah, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson better than Aaron Rodgers. Like, I probably wouldn't bet on that. Like, I would bet on Rodgers being an upgrade. But I do think there's this thought, especially among Steelers fans, that this is going to be a huge upgrade. I'd pump the brakes, man. He's 41 years old. He doesn't move that well anymore. He doesn't like taking hits. Their offensive line is not great, especially at tackle. I think if you're being fair and objective, like, can he be a 10% upgrade? But even then, like, is that enough where they've gone from this 9-10 win team? Are they competing with the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens? I just don't see it. I think their ceiling is what it's been. They make the playoffs, lose in the first round. Maybe if they get lucky, they get a reasonable matchup. Like, let's say they get the 6th seed. Maybe they draw, like, maybe the AFC South winner, the Texans. Maybe in a dome down in Houston, they could beat the Texans, something like that. But they're not beating the Chiefs in a playoff game. They're not beating the Ravens in a playoff game. And I don't think they're beating the Bills in a playoff game. So you're in the same spot. Have to get lucky with the first round matchup. Maybe you win that, but that's it. And that's the best case scenario. So I do think it's a bit overrated, and it's not going to work out to the way the boys up in Pittsburgh think it is. Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I'm still on the fence on even that. We'll do our division previews as the summer goes on, but let me know what you guys think. Sticking in the AFC North, the Bengals. I can't tell you how many people I've seen, national pundits, people on social media, the Bengals are going to win the North this year. Why? What has changed on their team? The biggest change is that they may not have their best player on defense. Now, I think he'll be there. I think it will work out. But it's New Year, same issues. Last year, Trey Hendrickson won a new contract. He sucked it up and played. This year, same deal. Still won't pay him. Well, I don't think he's showing up without a new deal. Do think they'll give him one, but still. Your defense still stinks on paper. You changed your defensive coordinator, but, like, they've let their good talent go in recent years on defense, other than Hendrickson, who they can't even figure out. So it's just so much of a burden on Joe Burrow and the offense. Like, if they start faster and don't fuck around in September, like, yeah, they'll probably be a playoff team, but the margin of error is so slim. I mean, how many games last year did they lose when they scored, 28, 30-plus points? A handful. I mean, that's just not sustainable in the NFL. I think the Ravens run away with the North. I think this idea the Bengals are going to win the division, I think that's outrageous. I don't think the Steelers are winning the division. I think they're both overrated, and this division is Baltimore's. I mean, think about last year. The Steelers started, I think it was like 6-1 or something. The Ravens started 0-2, 1-3, something like that. Ravens still won the division by 2 games. I mean, it wasn't even close in the end. So yeah, I think the Ravens win this division by multiple games yet again. The Green Bay Packers. My thing with the Packers is, what is their identity? Who do they want to be? I think at his core, Matt LaFleur wants to run the football and then have big play hunting downfield with his quarterback. It's like, okay, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love's a big game hunter. Well, last year, you didn't really get that consistent high-level play from Jordan Love. So you leaned on Jacobs a lot. Is he going to repeat 1,400 yards like he did last year? Historically, when running backs have a bigger year in their career, they kind of regress back to the mean the next year. So that's a big ask. So you need Jordan Love to take a next step. So that's number one when it comes to the Packers. They have all these receivers. Who's emerging? Is it Matt Golden? Is it Jaden Reed? What does Savion Williams do in that offense? Are they keeping Romeo Doubs? Is Christian Watson going to get healthy midseason and help them out? It's almost like if you have 2 QBs, you don't have one. If you have 5 number 2 receivers, you don't have a number 1 receiver. Like, is that kind of the similar theory there? I'm not sure about all that. And then their cornerback room, guys, is bad. I get why they moved on from Jair. He was making too much money, but their corners stink. It's not a good unit. So are they going to go sign Stephon Gilmore? Is he the answer at 34, 35 years old? But I don't love their front four either. I mean, Kenny Clark's good, Rashawn Carey's good, but they don't have like a great player on that front. When your best defensive players are a safety and a linebacker, Xavier McKinney and Edgerrin Cooper, that concerns me a bit. You need at least one pass rusher that you love. Again, I like Gary, don't love him, and you need a corner that you feel good about. I'm not sure they have either. So I just think they have a bit of an identity crisis, and I don't know what the true strengths of their team is. They'll be a good team. I'm not sure they're a great team. Subscribe to the channel. Go check out our other video that we did, which was most underrated teams in the NFL, plus all of our other content here on the channel. Once you subscribe, go to the content tab, and you can check out all of our videos there. Okay, lastly, the Houston Texans. I just think, to me, their biggest issue last year was the offensive line struggling to protect C.J. Stroud. And C.J. Stroud, I think regress is strong, even though the numbers show that. But, not taking a step forward largely due to the offensive line. So what do? They trade their only good lineman in Laramie Tunsil, and to me, don't adequately replace it. Now, one thing I will say is they also fired their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, and there was chatter after the fact that there was a lot of friction in the locker room. Like, okay, I can buy that. And they were bringing in Nick Caley, and they're kind of shifting to more of a gap running scheme. So could the scheme shift help an offensive line that's not supremely talented? That could happen, but I'm supposed to buy this group of five that they're going to protect CJ at a much better rate than last year. I mean, honestly, you're hoping for modest improvement, especially when you trade an all-pro left tackle, even if Tunsil did have a bit of a down year. I have major concerns about the offensive line. Major concerns about the offensive line. Now, hopefully, Caley comes in from that McVay scheme, just schemes some easy completions for Stroud, and he's not holding the ball as long. But, man, to me, their biggest issue last year, I don't see where you improved it unless you're just banking on the scheme, which coaching's critical in the NFL, so maybe that'll be the case. But that's a bit of a tough sell. I think they'll win their division because the AFC South stinks, and they're the best team in it, most talented, defense is loaded. But I don't think they close the gap between themselves and the big three in the AFC, of course, that being the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. Okay, who is the most overrated team in the NFL? Let us know on that one down in the comments below. My name is Harrison Graham. You guys are awesome for making it this far in the video. If you did, round of applause for you. I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time.